Hello students, welcome back. We are going to start with the second lesson of Science 1. The second lesson, the magic of chemical reactions. Now what are we going to do in this chapter? Now this lesson is based on chemical reactions. What is a reaction? First of all, we have to understand what is a reaction. Have you seen reactions going on around you? Do you know what is a reaction? When anything reacts, when two things react together, that is called a reaction. Now this reaction can bring out many types of changes. Now when you are eating food, that food is going inside your body. What is happening inside the body? Have you realized that anytime? The food is getting digested. And obviously, if I am eating chapati, rice, dal, will it remain in the same way inside my body? No. Inside the stomach, it is going to change because there may be some changes taking place inside my stomach. What is that taking place? Many types of chemical reactions are taking place. There are so many enzymes, so many acids which are released in your body and they help to break down your food. Breaking down of food means that food is converted to simpler type, and this is type of chemical reaction. Now when I am respiring, I am taking in oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide. Now what is that oxygen doing inside my body? It's going inside, fine. Then what it is doing? Now this oxygen is actually used for breaking up your food to release energy. So what is this happening inside? This is also a type of chemical reaction. Now when I am saying chemical reaction, a reaction which involves some chemicals, that is called as chemical reactions. Any reaction. Now when I am hitting you, what will be your reaction? You will hit me back, right? So that is a reaction. That is not a chemical reaction where you are using the chemicals. It's a physical bout, a physical fight. This is just a reaction. But in this chapter, we are going to learn what is chemical reaction and what are the types of chemical reaction. Now first, if we know what is a chemical reaction, then we can go to the types of chemical reaction. But what does this chemical reaction bring about? The chemical reaction or any reaction will bring about some changes. Now are these changes chemically reacting or it is physical also? Now there are two types of changes. If you have learned in small classes, you must have seen that there are physical changes and there are chemical changes. If I take a pen and just break it, am I making anything new out of this pen? No, I am just breaking it. That means I am making it into two pieces. But is there any change happening? Yes, one pen was broken and it came into two pens or two pieces. This is a type of physical change where I have not changed anything. No new substance is formed. So this is called as physical change. If I take a paper, I tear the paper. That's all. I take a paper and I tear the paper. Any changes happened? Yes, you will say changes happened. One paper was there. You have torn it and make it into two pieces. So this is also a type of physical change where no new substance is formed. So these are types of physical change where no new substance is formed. Now you all have seen ice. You have seen water. Right? So what is water? Water is a liquid state form. Now this water, if I keep it in a vessel or if I keep it in ice cubes and keep it in the refrigerator, what will happen? Maybe after an hour or so, you will get this same water you will get in the form of ice. Now what is the difference between water we drink and ice we have? Is there any change? Here the change was in the state. Now when I say state, there are three major states we know: solid, liquid and gas. So now when I say water, water is in the liquid state. This water was kept in ice cubes and these ice cubes were kept in the refrigerator. After 2 hours, when I remove it, it has turned into solid state. And this solid state of water is called ice. So which change has happened? The change in the state has happened. But any new substance is formed? No, there is no new substance formed. So is this a physical change or a chemical change? So your answer should be it is a physical change, because there is no new substance formed, there is no change in color, there is no evolution of gas, or there is no formation of another new type of compound. What I am saying, I am trying to tell that the changes can be of various types. But when there is no chemical change happening, we call it as a physical change. Now in your book, there is a column, there is a table which is given. There are some 4 situations given. We'll discuss those 4 situations. First situation I have already discussed. That is, ice changes to water. Now as I said, I kept the water inside the fridge or refrigerator. I take out, it has changed the state. That means it has become ice. Now this ice, leave it outside. In a bowl, that just keep it on the table. What will happen in 5 minutes? You will see this ice changes into back to water. What has happened? The ice, to prepare the ice, we had kept in a very low temperature in the fridge. But when we take it out, that low temperature was no longer there. Which temperature was there? The room temperature was there. So at room temperature, it got the heat. And when it got the heat, it changed back into the ice. Ice changed back into the liquid. Now this liquid, if I take and if I keep it in a vessel on the gas, that means if I give heat, what will happen to this liquid now? Ice, when I kept it out, it changed into liquid. Liquid, when I kept it on the gas, what will happen? I am giving heat to it. This water starts evaporating and turning into water vapor. Again, there is only the change in the state. Solid in the ice form, liquid in the water form, and gaseous state in the water vapor form. There is no new substance formed, only the change in the state has taken place. So the first situation is physical change. Second situation which is given is ripening of fruit. Now when you take a raw mango and you take a very ripe mango, what is the difference? The raw mango is not ripened. That means it has not changed, no changes have taken place inside, and it is still raw, katsa hai te. And that raw mango is used for making pickles. But this raw mango, if I remove it and keep it inside properly covered, it slowly ripens. That is called ripening of fruit. That ripening of fruit, what has happened inside? Inside the fruit, some chemical reactions have taken place, and so these chemical reactions have turned the raw mango into the ripe mango. And this ripening of fruit is a chemical change. That means a new substance is formed. Mango is there, but raw mango has become a ripened mango. That means the taste have totally changed. And raw mango cannot be eaten so easily. It can be, yes, made into a pickle. But what about the ripened mango? Many chemical changes have taken place, and that ripened mango is very sweet to eat and very sweet to taste. So here, which type of change has taken place? Chemical change has taken place. Now, the third situation is milk is set into curd. Milk, doodh. Curd is dahi. How to make a curd from milk? You must have seen at home how we set curd. We take in a bowl the milk, we heat it. We do not boil it, we heat it. Only little amount of heat is given so that it becomes lukewarm. That means if I touch the milk, it should be hot, but it should not be so hot that I remove my hand. That is called as lukewarm milk. This milk, if I add 1/2 teaspoon of curd and nicely mix it, what will happen? You keep it overnight. The whole night goes. The second day you will see that milk has turned into curd. Curd means dahi. Now what has happened? Can I change this curd back into milk? No, I cannot change the curd back into milk. And that is why this type of change is called as chemical change. The chemical change, what is the new product formed here? First it was milk. The new product formed is curd. Now what has happened inside? You all know that curd carries a bacteria that is called as lactobacillus. Now this lactobacillus has acted on the lactose or the sugar part of the milk, and that lactose has been changed into lactic acid. Now I am telling you detailed what chemical reaction has taken place, but for now you should know whether it is a physical change or a chemical change. Physical change? No, it is not a physical change. Why? Because can I bring this curd back into the milk? No. Now here, when I don't get the same original product, but I get a new product, that is a chemical change. Fourth situation given is steam is condensed. I gave you in the first example, ice, when it is kept outside, it changes into water. This water, if it's heated, what will happen? It will start changing into steam. Steam means water vapor. Now I want to get the liquid back from the water vapor. What should I do? Now in one example at homes also you can see that if you keep water in a bowl and you heat it, the steam starts coming out. Put a plate over it. Just cover it. Put the gas off. Put a plate over it. After 2 to 3 minutes, remove that plate. What will you observe inside the plate? You will observe number of water droplets. From where the water has come on the plate. There is no magic here. What has happened? We have heated the liquid, water. That water has evaporated. When it has evaporated, it has changed into water vapor. This water vapor, when it gets the cool part of plate, it condenses. So here the process of condensation takes place and the gaseous water vapor changes into liquid water. Is this a physical change or a chemical change? Think. Now any new substance was formed? No new substance was formed because the original water has come back in its liquid state. The liquid state of water first changed into gaseous state. This gaseous state again due to condensation comes back to liquid state. So any new substance is formed? No new substance is formed. So how will you categorize it? Will you put it in the physical change or a chemical change? You will put it in the physical change. And the last situation given is your respiration. I had given you this example. Respiration means when I am taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. This process, breathing in and breathing out, is called respiration. Now when I respire, for fun purpose, I am not taking oxygen inside. I am taking oxygen for a specific purpose, right? So what is this oxygen doing in my body? I am taking in oxygen. This oxygen goes to each and every cell of your body. And what is it doing there? What it happens, the food which is prepared, which we eat, prepared food we eat, it is digested. It makes into glucose, right? Now what is glucose? Glucose, simple example is C6H12O6. The sugar or the glucose has to be broken down to release energy. Now who will break it down? That means it has to undergo a process called as oxidation. And oxidation to happen, oxygen is required. So this oxygen which we are taking in inside, it travels with the blood. When it travels with the blood, it will break down the sugar into carbon dioxide and water, and lot of energy is released. Now tell me, is this a physical change or a chemical change? New substance is formed? Yes. Oxygen was taken in, carbon dioxide was formed. So oxygen again is not coming out. So that means a new substance is formed. Can I reverse it back? No. Once I take in oxygen, it goes inside my body and carbon dioxide comes out. So we can categorize it into a chemical change. This is not a physical change, this is a chemical change. Now when I have given you so many types of changes, what can you conclude from that? What is a physical change? What is a chemical change? Physical change is a change where no new substance is formed. Only a state can change. Only the substance which was originally there, it will remain same. But there is no change in any other thing. No new substance is formed in physical change. But in chemical change, a new substance is formed. Now, along with new substance, what happens in a chemical change? There are a number of things which happens in a chemical change. Change in state can happen, change in color can happen, change in temperature can happen, change in the type of state which is formed. That means the new product which is formed, it can be in solid state, it can be in gaseous state, it can be in liquid state. So there are so many types of changes which is accompanying a chemical reaction or a chemical change. So there is a lot of difference between a physical change and a chemical change. Now when I say chemical change is happening, can you tell me why a chemical change is happening? So your answer should be a chemical change is happening because there is a chemical reaction going on. Now what is a reaction? We come to the basic question again. What is a reaction? Reaction is between the two things which are reacting together and forming a new product. The things which are reacting together are called as reactants, and the new things which are formed after reaction is called as products. So a chemical change happens because a chemical reaction takes place. Now there is an activity given on page number 10. We are going to discuss each and every activity so that you know what is a chemical reaction. The first activity I'll read out. Take a tablespoon full of copper powder in a china dish. Heat it strongly. What changes do you observe? Now there is a figure given 2.1. There is a china dish kept. Now what is a china dish? China dish, it looks like a small dish, white colored dish. Now I have taken copper powder in it. Okay, I am giving heat to it. This is a copper powder. I'll just write the symbols. Now copper, the symbol of copper is Cu. I have taken in a china dish or a crucible. This is also called as crucible. So lot of powdery copper powder I am taking. I am providing heat. Now heat it strongly. What changes do you observe? The first change which will you observe is this turns into black color. Have you ever seen copper vessels? They are brownish color, right? They are dark brown color. But now if I take copper powder and heat it, this brown color turns into black powder. Now why it must be happening? You all know that copper or anything which burns, anything which is heated, what it will do? It will react with oxygen present in the air. So when copper reacts with oxygen present in the air, what will happen? It forms its oxide. So I'll show you how. Cu, that means it was the copper which we took here. Now when I'm heating copper, it is heated in the open. So what is happening? It is reacting with oxygen of the air. So what is the oxygen formula? O2. Okay, now this 2 reacts. I'll explain you how the way we are writing. Copper Cu, oxygen O2. How it is forming? Now it is both are reacting together. They form a product which is called as copper oxide. Now this copper oxide is black in color. This is the way I have represented it is called a chemical reaction. Now chemical reaction, I was saying with my words that copper when heated gives out a black substance which is called as copper oxide. When I said this, I am telling you in sentence form. But how to show and why to show with the help of symbols? That we are going to come slowly and slowly. Now this is called a chemical reaction when I am saying, and the way I have represented it using the symbols and the formula, it is called as chemical equation. So this is called as chemical equation. Chemical equation is the representation of a chemical reaction using its formulas and symbols. Now we are using symbols of copper, symbols and formula of oxygen. These are the formulas and symbols. Why do we use it? It will be very difficult always to write COPPR, copper, oxygen, complete words. So when I am writing in words like this, I am writing the whole chemical reaction in the form of words. I have not used symbols, so this is called as word reaction. Now word reaction means when the reaction is shown using the full words in English. So I have used the full words and shown you with the help of some other symbols like plus and arrows. Now this is called as word equation and or word reaction. It is also called as word equation. Now why I am using this plus sign? Because there is more than one reactant. When I am using the word reactant, it means what? The things which react. Okay, now here you have to see on the left hand side of the reaction. This is complete word equation or the symbolic equation. This is called chemical equation. When in a chemical equation, what are the parts? Chemical equation contains on the left side the reactants. Reactants are the things or substances which reacts. Now if I have more than one reactant, how will I show that they are reacting? I will use the symbol plus sign. Now here there are two reactants, so I have written 2. There might be some reactions where 3 reactants are there, 4 reactants are there. There in between I have to put a plus sign to show that a chemical reaction or chemical equation can be written this way. So on the left hand side, this is called as left hand side, LHS, that means the left hand side. Left hand side of a equation contains reactants. Right hand side of the equation, this is RHS, that means right hand side equation. Right hand side equation, this is called as products. Now there can be one product, there can be 2 products, there can be 3 products. So what are the parts of a chemical equation? A chemical equation contains on the left hand side the reactants, on the right hand side the products. The reactants, if there are more than one reactants, they are shown, they are reacting with the help of the symbol plus. And here even in the product side, if I have more than one product, I will show them with the help of plus sign only. Then what is this arrow pointing at? Now arrow, if you see carefully, I have drawn the arrow with the head towards the product side. Now what is the head of arrow? This head, this is called the head. I'll just darken it for your convenience, you'll understand it. Now this is an arrow pointing towards right hand side. That means in simple terms, logically, what does it mean? It means that the 2 parts on the left hand side are reacting and they are making way to make a new product, and that is why this arrow is made here. This is complete chemical equation which contains on the left hand side reactants, on the right hand side products, and which is separated by the arrow pointing towards the products. This is a chemical equation. When I took the example, first example of your activity, this I wrote in 2 ways. One in the chemical equation way, one in the word reaction or the word equation. When I say using the words, I say that copper reacts with oxygen of the air to produce copper oxide. I am using a sentence. That is called as a word reaction. That is a chemical reaction using the words. But I want to show in the form of an equation. and I don't know the symbols. So I have used the words, that is the word equation. The word equation can be represented by various symbols and formulas, where I have used in copper place I have used Cu, that is the symbol or the formula of copper. In place of oxygen I have used O2, that is the formula of oxygen. So this is the way a chemical equation is written, and this is the way the word equation is written, and what is the importance. Now tell me, what is the importance of writing, or what is the use of writing in this way? Now many times we have various institutes where the whole word is not used. For example, WHO. This is a world organization. World Health Organization. I can say World Health Organization. For easier way to tell people, WHO. WHO stands for World Health Organization. If I say NCERT book, means what I am saying? I am trying to tell you the full form. I will tell you NCERT means National Council of Educational Research and Training. Did you know that? You must have heard NCERT, NCERT. But what does it stand for? It stands for National Council of Educational Research and Training. So it's very easy for us to understand NCERT. You are using BSNL telephones. You are using NTNL telephones. Now BSNL, you know, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited. So when I use the word Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, I have to use so many words. But if I say BSNL, it is a shortcut. So what I am trying to tell is, we are using abbreviations. Abbreviation means we are using first letter of each word and making a small shortcut. And that shortcut is known as abbreviation. Here also we have used the abbreviation to make the symbols of the various elements, metals, non-metals, and then we are making use of those abbreviations to write a chemical equation. Let's go to the second equation, which is given in an activity. Take a small piece of aluminium wire and burn it. Record your observation. Now, what is aluminium? Is it a metal or a non-metal? Aluminium is a metal. Second situation, which activity which we are discussing is, take a small piece of aluminium wire. Now aluminium is a metal or a non-metal? You should be knowing this. Aluminium is a metal. Now if I take an aluminium piece, you must have seen aluminium foil also. Now if I take aluminium piece of wire or a foil, if I heat it, what observation will you get? Same way. I'll just write the word equation first. Aluminium. Now aluminium is a metal. When I heat it, what it will react with? It will react with oxygen present in the air. So plus sign, that means it is reacting with something. You know, anything which gets heated, first tendency is to react with oxygen present in the air. So aluminium reacts with oxygen, forming its oxide, which is called as aluminium oxide. Now this I have used words. So this is a word equation. How will I use a chemical equation? Now this is a word equation. Now how will I write a chemical equation? When I use a word chemical equation, that means I have to use the abbreviations or the shortcut or the symbols, formulas of the substances which are reacting. Now here, what are the reactants? You have to understand that on the left hand side of this reaction, aluminium is reacting with oxygen. So reactants are aluminium and oxygen. A simple question can be asked in the board papers. In this reaction, what are the reactants and what are the products? So your answer should be, reactants are aluminium and oxygen and product is aluminium oxide. Let's see how to write with the chemical equation. Aluminium formula is Al. Now you see how I have written. A is always capital and L is always small. So aluminium is the symbol of, Al is the symbol of aluminium. Oxygen, O2. As I said, you all know, we have used many times. Oxygen formula is O2. Right. Now these are the reactants which I am showing using the symbols and the formulas. Formation is aluminium oxide. So it is Al2O3. This is the formula of aluminium oxide. So if you are asked what is the reactants, what is the product? The reactants are aluminium and oxygen and the product is aluminium oxide. You will come slowly come to know why I have written Al2O3, why I have not written AlO2. So there is, it all depends on the valency of the metals and the non-metals. Now this activity continued. If we remove a tungsten wire from a fused bulb, all of you seen a bulb. Inside the bulb there is the hanging wire like this. Now that wire is made from a metal which is known as tungsten. Now this tungsten wire, remove it and then try to ignite it. Ignite it means burn it. What do you observe? Does it get ignited? It doesn't get ignited. Why? The reason is the melting point of tungsten is very high and that temperature is not reached by the flame. I am using a flame, let me say a candle flame or the gas flame, and I use a tungsten wire. The tungsten wire is a metal whose melting point is very high and that high temperature is not met in the flame whichever we are using, and that is why the tungsten wire does not get ignited or does not get burnt. Third activity which is asked in your book is add potassium chromate to barium sulfate. They have given us the two names, potassium chromate and barium sulfate. Note your observation. Now let's write. They have given us the formula also. Now this was second, this was third. So potassium chromate K2CrO4. The whole formula of potassium chromate is this. It is added to barium sulfate. Barium Ba sulfate BaSO4. You have to learn the names of the products or the reactants and their formulas also. Now what will the products will be formed? Products formed are BaCrO4 plus K2SO4. You can write down this reaction, as this reaction is not given there, so you have to write down the reaction. What is asked? They have given us two names of the reactants. Potassium chromate, it is potassium chromate, and this is barium sulfate. These are the names of the reactants which is already given to us. Now what is formed? You can say it is this product is called as barium chromate and potassium sulfate. So if you are asked, is this a chemical reaction? Yes, of course, this is a chemical reaction. Secondly, what are the reactants of this chemical reaction? Reactants are potassium chromate, whose formula is K2CrO4, barium sulfate, whose formula is BaSO4. Reactants are two, barium chromate, whose formula is BaCrO4, and potassium sulfate, formula is K2SO4. Right. Now note your observation. The observation which you are going to see is this barium chromate forms a yellow colored precipitate. Now when you take these two solutions, When I am saying solutions, what they do actually, they take this powder form, add in water and make it into aqueous form. Aqueous form means liquid form. So both are in liquid form. When I mix these two liquid forms, I get these products. Out of this, one is liquid form, one is solid form. Now K2CrO4 is in liquid form. And this is in solid form. That means the state of barium chromate is in solid form, and therefore it is, and one more new thing has been formed. That means first it has formed into a solid form, secondly it has formed a yellow colored solid form. And when, if I don't disturb the test tube, it will go slowly and settle down. When anything solid is formed and it goes and settles down, that is called as precipitate. So the yellow colored precipitate will be seen when these two are reacting. These are the reactants, they react together, they form the two products. Out of two products, one is solid, one is liquid. Okay, now one is liquid, it will remain in liquid form, but this solid form has changed its color, new product has formed. That's why it's a chemical change. New product has formed, and that new product is the yellow precipitate. And that this change we can make out very easily when a chemical reaction takes place. You all copy down this reaction, it's very important, which can be asked anytime for 2 mark question. The fourth activity which is asked is add a small quantity of sulfuric acid or dilute sulfuric acid to FeS, that means iron sulfide. Very carefully. Touch the test tube, also experience the odor. What do you observe? Now, H2SO4, this is sulfuric acid. When I am writing, you also please copy down so that you know the reactions. Sulfuric acid is reacted to FeS, that means iron sulfide. FeS. Fe is the symbol of iron and S is the symbol of sulfur. So this is iron sulfide. This is the activity given to us. They have asked if sulfuric acid is added to FeS, that is iron sulfide, what will happen? You will form FeSO4 plus H2S. Now this is iron sulfate or ferrous sulfate. And this is hydrogen sulfide. Iron sulfide is reacted with sulfuric acid to form ferrous sulfate or iron sulfate and hydrogen sulfide. Now what do you observe? First, they have asked any change in the odor. Odor means smell. Yes, there is a very bad smelling gas which comes out. Now H2S is a gas. We can show this gas in the form of arrow up. Many of the books you will see, if you refer to any other book besides your state book, what will happen? You may see this symbol used. The symbol used on the right hand side of equation showing upwards the arrow shows that it is a gas. Many times it will be written in the bracket G. Now this is the gas which is formed, which is having a rotten egg smell. The rotten egg smell means very dirty smell. If the egg is not fresh and it becomes rots or it becomes spoils, how it will smell? That smell comes from H2S or hydrogen sulfide. So this is the observation we see. Second observation, they have asked, touch the test tube. Test tube, if you touch, it will become hot. It is hot. That means it is giving out heat. When it is giving out heat, that means we say this is a exothermic reaction. Exo means giving out. Thermic means heat. So this is exothermic reaction. In this, these are the observations which you make in this equation. This is an exothermic reaction. This shows exo means giving out, and thermic means heat. When heat is given out, that type of reaction is called as exothermic reaction. Second observation, we see that rotten egg smell comes. Rotten egg smell is coming from this reaction, and these are the two observations. This reaction can be given to you in the form of question, and they can ask you write any two observations. So these are the observations for this reaction. First, it is the exothermic reaction. It gives out heat. Gives out heat, that means it is with the products large amount of heat is formed. And secondly, it gives out a very bad smell which smells of rotten egg. And this rotten egg smell is due to hydrogen sulfide which is formed. So this is the reaction where such type of observations are seen. Fifth activity which is asked in yours is heat camphor in a porcelain dish. Keep a funnel plugged with cotton over the dish before you heat. What do you observe when camphor is heated? What happens when the apparatus is cooled? Now, have you seen camphor, the one we used before the god, or the naphthalene balls, camphor balls, naphthalene balls? All these substances, actually they have one peculiarity, one special characteristic feature. Camphor or naphthalene balls, if you take and you keep it generally in the clothes, in between the blankets, in between the woolen clothes, what will happen? After some few days you will say it has disappeared. Where it has gone? Now what has happened to camphor? What has happened to naphthalene balls? This camphor and this naphthalene balls actually has the tendency to change from solid to gas state directly. They do not go to in the liquid state. They go from solid state to gas state, and therefore this type of process is called as sublimation. That means this camphor sublimes, this naphthalene balls sublimes. When I use the word sublimation or sublimes, that means the solid form of camphor is directly changing into gas form. It is not going into the liquid form, and this process, which does not take the liquid form, it changes directly to the gas form, is called as sublimation. Now here there is a figure given. I'll also show you with the help of figure, and then you will understand better. Now figure is, there is on a plate, glass plate, a funnel is attached. Okay, this type of funnel is kept. Here is a cotton ball kept. Here camphor is kept, and this is given heat. Now this is a simple process where a plate is taken. On the plate camphor is taken. On the camphor inverted funnel is kept. That funnel has a small hole. Through the tube the gas should not go out. So this is fixed with the cotton. When I fix it with the cotton, I don't allow any gas to go out, and this cotton is called here as cotton plug. Now here it is sealed properly so that no gas goes out. This is the arrangement. When I am giving heat, this camphor, as I told you, it has a peculiar characteristic. It directly changes into gaseous state. When it changes into gaseous state, it sublimes. So now this changes into gaseous state. It does not go into liquid state. When it goes into the gaseous state, the upper part of the funnel is comparatively cooler. Yeah, it is cool. So what will happen? It changes into gaseous state, and then we can see on the sides of funnel some deposit. And that deposit, what has happened? Now here, this is changing into gaseous state. Gaseous state again is changing into solid state or the powder form when it touches the cool temperature or cool part of the funnel. This is called as sublimation process.